bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez and Company, powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
And good morning. You are listening to Martinez coming here live from 10 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays on the Coastal Sports Network, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game and also SR1029thegame.com. Don't forget to visit the website so you guys can keep up with everything that's going on here on the show, on the network, and everything as of such. Later on at 10:15, Fuji will be calling in for the Eagles' take on what his thoughts on how the Eagles performed on Friday in Brazil. And then at 10:30, we'll have Gas Pump Guy calling in with his thoughts with the performance of Baker Mayfield yesterday and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who look good. And I keep saying to Tampa Bay that you guys should be looking at Baker Mayfield for the foreseeable future. He's still young. He still has it. You know, not just saying it by the one game. I even mentioned it throughout the season last year, is that they should be looking at least signing him another minimum 3-year extension, 2 years with the option of a third. But we shall see if the Bucs decide to do so. Now, I will go on a little tangent on this morning because, again, if you never voice your opinion will never be heard. You guys, if you tuned in this morning from 7 to 10 a.m. with Pete Shepard, and he had mentioned that we are not allowed to broadcast on Facebook because Facebook decided that it goes against their community standards. Yet I try to find, other than their BS that they have when you do their search, about what is considered a quote-unquote community standard. Well, just so you guys can see, because if I'm going to put something out there, let me make sure I bring myself up here on the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And let me shrink this down just a tad bit. Let me get rid of this here. And then I'm going to bring up something here because I want you guys to see stuff, because I know people have been questioning. Am I full of crap or what? Go to Facebook. Just put in pet supplies. Just put it in there. And what you get back is, are you sure you want to continue? This search may be associated with posts that encourage harmful behavior to animals, animal abuse, and the sale of live animals between private individuals is not allowed on Facebook. Pet supplies. Pet supplies. When you put it in there, in Facebook, in their search. And I've looked after thread after thread after thread with people saying, and what started from last year, apparently it only caught up to me this year, is that one day they just went on and all of a sudden all their stuff was scrubbed. Everything, right? And then I put a message out on Twitter saying on X about, how Facebook should do better. And then I get a laundry list of folks that put in there in the comments about, get to this guy, he'll unhack your account, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So you do what the community standards are supposed to be, and you write them an email and let them know, hey, by the way, I don't find it fair that you just decided to take down over 300 plus of my posts just because you felt like it or your robots decided to do so. So again, that saga continues with Facebook. I've never been a fan of Facebook. I never have. And the only reason, if you guys missed it on Friday, the reason why I said I even got it was because when I was moving from Philly down here to Florida, is for the people that I used to work with before and my friends back home in Philly. That's the only reason why I got it. Other than that, I really don't care for it. Why? Because I've seen what Facebook has done in the past. Yet people keep believing everything that they read and see on Facebook. Now, I got a ton of messages, just like other people saying that, like, oh, maybe it only happened to you. Maybe your account got hacked. Maybe this, that, and the other. Until people started going back and looking at their accounts, and they had pictures and videos of dogs. And Facebook deemed it as a terrorist action. My account was deemed just that, as a terrorist action. There is nothing terrorist about me or any of the shows that I end up doing. It is unbelievable what a platform can do to just shut your mouth up. And it's funny because a picture doesn't speak, right? Picture is visual. Now, if a picture could speak, it's because you put words behind it. But to just get rid of stuff just because you feel like, it's not part of our standards, or even better, that someone decides to say that this is spam, and then Facebook decides just to erase everything in your history because one person says that it is spam. They don't bother to reach out to anybody. They don't bother to say, Well, let's take a look at these other networks and see if their stuff is spam. Or let's just take a look generically. But when you don't fall under certain guidelines, that's what happens. You could be an OnlyFan and flash whatever you want to, male or female, flash it, splash it all over Facebook. Nothing happens to you. Nothing. You could put up tons of nudies up there. Facebook won't do anything to you. There are certain things that you can say. Facebook won't do anything to you. So I keep saying that Facebook should be doing better, and they should. The only reason why I personally have it up there now is because Pete does a show in the morning on Facebook. He likes to do so. So I share it out on the SR1029 Facebook page. Now, they decided again to remove it off the platform. And then I reached out to the company that I utilize, and they said, yep, Facebook just decided to call us a terrorist organization. And not just us, meaning everyone that's using the platform. So I keep saying this over and over again. If you guys do not voice your opinions, do not state what's going on out there, then stay quiet and just keep dumping money wherever you guys feel like. That's why I said I've always, even when Jack Dorsey owned Twitter, Twitter was always my go-to. Always. Always, always, always. And by the way, Instagram's no better because obviously when Instagram was not owned by Facebook, at least used to have a voice as well. But because Mark Zuckerberg owns Instagram as well, I could have used another word for him, but I'll be nice to him this morning. But he owns Instagram as well. So the same nonsense that's going on over on Facebook is the same nonsense that's going on over on Instagram. It just doesn't make any sense. Then my website got flagged, BroadStreetSouth.com, which if they realized, and even if you type it in your address bar, it takes you right to SR1029thegame.com. Now, I don't have to have a PhD degree. I don't have to have, immense IQ of, I don't know, even though there's nothing in existence of a million, trillion, bazillion. Doesn't freaking matter. All it would take for you to just say, oh, look, it just changed the direction of the website. That's it. But people just keep doing whatever they want. People keep allowing things to happen, and the voice will be taken away. Now, there's people that are saying out there that if they become part of the political party, they would put something in there that would just say, hey, we're not going to allow your voices to be taken away, but this is what happens. Yet people keep pumping money into Facebook over and over again. Now, two things that come to mind. One is, which I've seen, which a bunch of threads are, if I paid for phony bots, would my account then not been touched? And or if I paid for that metaverse, meta-universe, metaverse shit, whatever they ever talk about, if I paid for that, then if I paid whatever it is, $21, $22, $23 a month, if I paid for that, then I would be okay just because I'm paying for it? Or would the same thing had happened? Oh, yes. Read that one thread too. People that paid, that supposedly, again, according to Facebook community standards, is that if you subscribe to Meta-Universe, you're not supposed to get flagged for anything. Not the case. So, unbelievable. Once again, listen, whatever. Those are the people that, again, that are supposed to be smarter than us. But I digress when it comes to that stuff. Eagles, as we'll get into it here, Mike Fuji calling in about 4 minutes. I like the win. It was a nice win. I'm glad also that Jordan Love was not more seriously hurt than what he was. 3 to 4 weeks is going to be tough for Jordan Love because a lot of Green Bay Packers fans, let's be honest, they wanted to see better from Green Bay, but the conditions, it was unfavorable for both. If you really look at it, if you want to go back there and really take a look at what happened out there in Sao Paulo, soccer, and I called, and I'll get into that a little bit later on as well. When you're playing soccer, it's completely different than playing, obviously, football. And the guys, even though, yes, they are going back and forth on the pitch, which then turns out to be the gridiron, it's different. It's not the same type of gameplay. So I know they had a soccer game 5 days prior to the Eagles arriving there, and that's great. I'm glad they were able to play their match, that the pitch was fine, but also it was noted that because Brazil right now is in its winter months, during the day, the field conditions are a lot better than it is at nighttime. Now, everybody knew, including the NFL, that the timeline for this game was going to be during the evening time because they want to make sure that everyone around the world had a decent hour where they get into watching this game. During the day, a lot of people had stated that they could see that everything was fine. The temps were fine, field conditions were fine. But like everything, just like here in Florida, same thing, you get the dew that comes in at nighttime. I'm not here to be a meteorologist, but the dew that your front grass, rear grass, whatever kind of grass you have around the house, it turns moist because the temperatures drop. Even during the summertime, same thing. So the same thing happens out there in Brazil. They still deem that everything is fine, that there's absolutely nothing wrong, and to go ahead and play the game. Now, we've seen a bunch of sliding from Saquon. We saw it from Jalen. We saw it from the defense. We saw it from the offense. There were so many different things that ended up happening. But the NFL, in NFL ways, continued to tell us that it's okay, that it keep going to places like Germany and Australia is not that far away. They're going to make it work one way or the other. And it's not going to be that far away because there's a ton of Eagles fans. There's a ton of NFL fans, period. Just like there's a lot of NBA fans out there in Australia. So they're going to eventually, they're going to get that far east. It's going to happen. It's coming. I forget who it was this morning that someone posted up in the messages that do they think, it might even have been Gas Pump Guy, that he said within the next 5 years, do we see a franchise going out to Germany or Australia or something else? I think so. Why not? The NFL wants to put an NFL Europe out there somewhere. They haven't done it up north yet because of the Canadian Football League. And good morning to our friends up north. We appreciate you all tuning in. Don't forget, you can also call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. Of course, make your comments here on the social medias. But it's funny to me that, yes, the NFL is looking to expand. We all know this. It's turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry, it's $1 billion. It's quickly turning into a multi-billion-dollar industry. And listen, we're all fans. We get to see the action on the field. We get to see what happens. We love, obviously, football. If we didn't, we wouldn't be talking about it as much as we do. But we love it for the most part. I'm a huge fan. I like to see what the Eagles are going to end up doing. You guys heard me make a comment, too, that I hope that whatever they decide to do as far as those banners and such that they put up there, I hope they end up taking them down. But, love the Eagles. We'll see what happens. Their home opener is coming up this week, even though they consider Brazil the home opener. But nonetheless, we shall see. But on the line with me right now, my guy out there from Philly who got to see all the action probably down from the link because he is a season ticket holder. It is Mike Fuji. Fuji, how are you this morning?
Angel, Victory Monday, even though it was Friday night. How are you? Birds pulling out the big win down in Big San Paulo. A sloppy game, but a win's a win. How are you? How's everybody doing on this Victory Monday of the Philadelphia Eagles?
A win's a win. I'll say that much too, Fuji. I agree with you there. A win is a win. Probably not the prettiest win whatsoever. But we all appreciate at least coming out with the win. Jordan Love obviously gets hurt. None of us wanted to see that, and I know he was cramping a lot throughout the entire game. We could see him getting massaged by the medical staff, and that goofy looking gun that obviously vibrates your skin back and forth. But they were trying to work him out as much as they possibly could because he was getting a lot of tightness. I mean, it was a win, but the conditions weren't the best though, Fuji.
No, not at all. I mean, it kind of reminded me going back to Super Bowl 2 years ago in Arizona when that field was atrocious. Just people slipping and sliding all over the place. Just pitiful, but hey, luckily the Eagles got away with nobody getting injured and, just going all the way down there to Brazil, 9-10 hour flight and coming back with a loss would probably just, put those guys in a bad mood, but hey, 1-0 and moving on the next Monday night here in the Combat Zone at the Link, Monday Night Lights. I'll be there. Can't wait. Let's do it now.
Well, we shall see. Rick, by the way, Rick Marcus says, how does it work with season ticket holders losing a home game in Philly?
Well, next. Now you got me stumped, Rick. Just, I guess next year it'll be 9 games. Oh, is it next year they're going to 18 games?
They're supposed to be going to 18 games next year.
Yeah, so you'll get the last couple of years it just rotated. It would be 9 at home, 9 home games, 8 on the road. And every other year would be like Well, I think last year they did 9 games on the road because they played the extra game against Kansas City.
Right.
So it was rotating the last couple of years, but it's going to be 18 games, so it'll be 9 and 9. So we'll get that extra game back.
All right. I want to go back now. I want to play now that you're on the line with me, Fuge. This is the GM from the New York Giants. This is at the Combine back in February 28th this year.
Mm-hmm.
And as they were trying to figure out what to do with Saquon Barkley, I want you to hear what the reporter has to ask, even though it's kind of low, so you may not hear what she has to say, but you'll hear his response. I'm going to play this, and I'll get your thoughts.
In your mind,
okay.
Saquon is more valuable than quote unquote just what he does on the football field.
No, I mean, I think in the negotiations, you take all that into account, or you wouldn't approach the player on a contract extension. So, yeah, I mean, Walter Payton, Man of the Year, I love that about him, but you also got to look at production, durability, games played, production versus other comps throughout the league, and that's usually where they land from a financial standpoint. And, again, you got to draw a line in the sand, like we're not going any further, and if it goes past this, all right, let's shift to plan B. And, again, hopefully we don't get to that, but, we went through all those plans.
Shift to plan B. Well, thanks to your shift to plan B, because our plan A worked out just fine when it came out to Saquon Barkley.
Well, hey, it worked out in our favor. A slap in the face from the New York Giants to Saquon Barkley. Basically, you might as well say Friday night was a Saquon Barkley show.
It was.
Welcome to Philly, Saquon Barkley, and your Eagles debut.
No, it was all, to me, we had mentioned on Friday's show that we wanted to see at least, 5 to 6 touches by Saquon Barkley. And obviously you want to see the run pass offense when it came to the Eagles. I think even before the game had just kicked off, they had mentioned it was like light rain, so obviously that added to the conditions out there on the field. But we did see that obviously they want to go with the running game. And who knew? Because none of us knew. We're all, on pins and needles, as it's always said, that who knew if the Eagles were going to be able to make it work with Saquon because of the field conditions, how it's going to end up playing out. But, I mean, obviously right out of the gate, and some folks had talked about with the Giants fans saying that, he no longer had that fire. He couldn't make a quick sprint, that Saquon was pretty much washed up, this, that, and the other. And then you have, and I want to say about 70% of the fans still wanted Saquon in New York. So if you were a New York Giants fan, boy, were you pissed off on Friday seeing what he did. And he almost went, 4 for 4 as far as scoring touchdowns, but ended up going 3 for 3. The one snap, which I mentioned this over and over again, Fuji, I'm pretty sure you have mentioned it as well. It drives me crazy when it comes to their preseason action. And for whatever dumb reason, Nick Sirianni does not want to put in the starters during preseason. Now, Jorgens ends up taking over for Kelsey. Kelsey, he was more than obviously missed, and they were able to get a push tush in. But you can tell this is completely different. And if Jalen Hurts is not benching 500 pounds, then that tush push wouldn't work either because he made that extra push in there. But am I insane for saying so? But does Nick Sirianni at this point, we'll get back to the game here as well, but does he have to, at this point, stop with the I'm not putting my starters in during preseason games and start putting them in so that week 1, we don't have to go through this? Because last year, we went through the same exact thing. Game 1, you could tell where the offense was just not on all cylinders.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I believe, the starters should play because, if you look, you might as well really say the first month of September is really preseason because if these guys ain't gelling together, where's the cohesiveness? I mean, you got, old players and new players coming in. How do you expect these guys to execute right? I mean, luckily they were, not just training camp or OTAs. I mean, you figure it's going to at least take a good 3 to 4 weeks or games for these guys to really, come all together. It's just, new center, you got new guys on both sides of the ball. And how do you expect your guys to come together if, luckily, like I said, they pulled it out, but, it's not like the old days where, you would, when you had 4 preseason games by game 3, your starters would, they would play basically a good part of the first half. But now you're down to 3 preseason. Now you're going to go to 2. It's like, really, you don't know what the heck you have until you really see what you get in preseason going into to start the regular season. It's just like the window on the way. So it's like, these coaches really don't get a chance to really see what some of these free agents or rookies or undrafted rookies are showcasing talent-wise. Especially the cut downs, to get to the 53-man roster.
Now, you had Jalen Hurts with 278 yards, Saquon 109 yards rushing. Kenny Gainwell with 2 yards. They weren't utilizing him a lot. Obviously, I want to see the production out of Saquon Barkley, but it was good to see that he actually, got over 100 yards. I thought, for me, from what we had stated on Friday's show was that we wanted to see if he was going to get 5 to 6 carries, that hopefully he would get over 100 yards, and he did by 9 yards. But Saquon looked as healthy, and it was good to see him smile. It was good to see him laugh on the sidelines. I know during the broadcast a bunch of times he had mentioned how for him, it was no-brainer to go back to Philly because of where he played in college, that he wanted to be back home. Now he's able to see his family a lot more. His kids were able to see the grandparents a lot more. So This was a huge win for the Eagles. And I'm not talking about the win overall on Friday. I'm just talking about in general. As long as they can keep him healthy, my only fear was, as I was watching all these guys slip around, was he possibly going to get injured? And now the one, I think it was the 3rd touchdown run into the end zone, where he started going around the back of the goalpost and slipped a little bit. And it took my breath for a second because I thought, oh no, all you need to do is just tweak your ankle just enough to be able to see the injury happen. But Jalen Hurts, and I'm still going to go back to this, Fuji said, I don't think him and Kellen Moore, as I mentioned to Pete this morning, I believe those two are on the same sheet of music. I still don't see this cohesiveness between him and Nick Sirianni. Am I looking too much into it?
I don't think you're really looking into it too much at all. I mean, this goes back to, like I said on Friday, OTAs, Jalen in his first press conference coming out saying, the offense is obviously 95% new. And then, the Philly media just like went ballistic on, tearing Hurts apart about, these guys are on the same page. And like I said, I told you Friday, I said, I don't think Nick Sirianni's the coach that's going to elevate Jalen. Maybe now you got, it's a new system with Kellen Moore, and, hopefully Kellen Moore's offense will escalate Jalen. But here's the thing. The Eagles are successful. They get to the Super Bowl. They win it. Kellen Moore is basically going to go because he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere, I'm sure. And, what's it going to be, back to square one next year with a new offensive coordinator and a new system to learn? I honestly believe that there's some, both of them aren't on the same page, I don't think. I just don't think they see eye to eye. I mean, the media could say, not the media, but the Eagles front office could, cover it up. But, as I say, where there's smoke, there's fire.
There is. And I to me, I'm still not convinced. I mean, again, I'm grateful for the win. I'm pretty sure as all Eagles fans are as well. But I just don't see, it just didn't seem like it. I know Nick Sirianni had things, folks from Brazil, the country, to make sure everything was fine. Everything looked good. He was happy, as everyone should be. I mean, for those who have spent the money, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people spent a whole ton of money when it came to it. And it was good, I guess, to see, too, that there was a lot of people that decided to come out to the streets after, I guess, the Eagles had left to voice their opinion on what's going on between them being silenced and not able to share stuff out on X and stuff, which I won't get into, but I know they waited until after the Eagles fans and the Eagles had left, so therefore there wouldn't be any kind of turmoil. And I know there was different parts in Brazil, but I just want to see if Jalen Hurts is going to continue working with Nick Sirianni, and we'll see, because if this team, so far it was a win, that's just week 1, game 1. Now we're coming up to week 2. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins did not have a good game with the Falcons. Eagles, have a history with the Falcons, but we've also seen too where if it's been a close game the week prior, the week after could be either ugly and or just as good. Now, just because it was one game with Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, it doesn't mean they can't come out like gangbusters out in Lincoln Financial Field. And it's still warm out, so I don't care if they're a dome team, this, that, and the other. We've seen when the Bucs have come into town, when it was, Bridget Frutal, as one linebacker had told us beforehand, that it didn't matter. They went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So the dome stuff, this, that, and the other, that doesn't matter to me. My thing is that we need to see both the offense and defense clicking as they should. The defense, honest to God, the defense is what carried this team to hang in there all game long. Because at one point, I know Green Bay, the offense, both Eagles offense, Green Bay's offense were going back and forth, marching down the field and putting up points. But Eagles defense is definitely what ended up stepping up this week. And I forgot who it was. I just had him on my mind that had the clobbering hit. I want to say it was like late in the third where the ball ended up popping out. But I forgot exactly what Eagles.
Zach Ball
there you go.
On the interception by Reed Blankenship. Sorry, I'm getting his name tongue twisted. Yeah, but Zach Ball on 15 tackles. That guy came to play was basically a special teamer the last couple of years in New Orleans. And apparently, I guess, Vic Fangio got in Haley's ear and said, go out and bring him in. So, obviously Vic Fangio, knowing the ins and outs of players around the league that played, I don't know. I'm not sure if he played for him, but, probably just a great evaluator of talent. Look at Quentin Mitchell stepping right in like a seasoned veteran. Like, this kid's ready to go.
Yeah.
If this is just a preview of what we're going to see, as long as this kid stays healthy, this guy could be, another Eric Allen. I know that's a big comparison, but, one game. But, when you're talking up smack to one of the best receiving core duos in training camp, like run a better route, that takes guts for you to say to with Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown, in my eyes.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And by the way, we're going to go into our first break here because last week, of course, I decided to skip over every single break, but I do have to pay bills around here. So I got to make sure I bring in the proper folks. Fuji, are you hanging around or do you have to run?
Nah, I can hang around.
All right. All right. We're going to go into a commercial break here. And then when we come back, we're also going to add to our panel here will be Duncan Dad. He'll be joining us here after we come back from the break. It'll be a short break, so it won't be too long, folks. I promise you it won't be on long. So let me cue it up as far as I can go back and take a look. So let me do this here, and we'll be back. You're listening to Martinez Company here live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Sports Radio 102.9 FM, The Game. Also on the Coastal Sports Network, and all of it brought to you by also Ion Tampa Bay for your latest news, weather, and traffic. Visit iontampabay.com. It's been a lot of, I don't want to say crazy weather, but the accidents down here have been dime a dozen, and Ion Tampa Bay does a really good job to keep you up to date on road closures and different things that end up happening within the area. So we'll be back. You are listening to Martinez & Company on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, The Game, powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jimmy the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
socials. Call or text the show 727-858-6650 and let us know what's on your mind. Now back to Martinez and Company.
All right, welcome back. It is the bottom of the hour, 10:32 here on the East Coast, 7:32 on the left coast, known as California, Arizona, Washington, before you guys get any other ideas. But thank you all for joining us here on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Don't forget you can download the app directly from the website. Visit the website at sr1029thegame.com. You can call or text the show at 727-858-6650. You can also do it directly from the app. So if you have the app downloaded, which you will not find in the stores as of yet, it's why I keep referring to everyone. Go to the website. You can download it from there. Therefore, you can call or text the show directly from there. You can watch the show live. You can listen to the show live. So you do it like Dunkin' Dad when he makes his trip out there to Dunkin' Donuts and he picks up his coffee. He watches the show from home, jumps in the car, hooks it up to his Bluetooth, and then when he's standing in line over at Dunkin' Donuts, then guess what? He puts the live video back on there. So that's the reason why I make it. There you go. See, he has it up. You just showed me there on the screen. So that's the good thing to do, and he's got it. I see it right there where he's got it downloaded. So thank you, Dunkin' Dad, for that one. Spalding says, love the company. Somewhat like the Martinez company. What? Listen, Spalding, shut up. Goodness gracious. Already start out with his freaking comments as I kid. Dylan's a good dude.
He's a Buccaneers fan when he expects.
Yeah, well, that's true when it comes to Dylan. By the way, on the line with us is Mike Fuji, as he was with us on Friday, as he gives us his take about the Eagles. And let me, before I forget about this as well, thank you to the fans out there at Camping World Stadium. You talk about having such a fun time on Saturday. Thank you to iTouch Orlando for making it happen, along with the Orlando Predators, along with Copa America. Thank you also to Soccer ID Cup, which was the inaugural Soccer ID Cup that they hosted, Club America, and the Atlético Nacional for going out there as well. I just doing PA announcement is something completely different. And then when people are first coming into the stadium, you get yourself to a certain rhythm and pattern you hear with the players, and they put on music and this, that. So the DJ was going inside a booth, inside our program directing booth, and we were having a ton of fun with them. But as the more the fans end up coming in, your heart tends to race a little bit more because the last thing you want to do is choke. The hardest thing to do, as I explained to a lot of people, is that when you're looking at an American script and you have to translate it into Spanish, you have to be quick on the fly because some things are worded a little bit longer. Some other things are worded a little bit shorter. So making that transition, the guys were amazed. And I told the guys, it's a good thing I don't speak Spanish because I was amazed too, for the most part, and which of course they laughed and joked with me. But it was fun to call my first 4 goals ever in my career. I had to figure out like on the fly, how I was going to go. Thankfully, my lovely wife had recorded when she was sitting outside the press box. So she was not in the same room where we are, even though she could have stayed there, but she was outside. And she said it sounded pretty loud inside the venue. And she was behind the glass, and you can hear the call itself. I'm almost certain I can bring it up here before we get into other stuff. But it was so much fun. We enjoyed it. We had a great time. Thank everyone for the hospitality, the crew that worked, Zach, who was behind the scenes. It was so much fun. And I'll bring up this was the second call, the goal call that was made. And one thing that everybody has to understand a little bit is that in order for us to be able to call a goal, you'll see the players already have the play back on the pitch. So they're already moved around up there, but you have to wait to make sure it's official before you make it. It got better as the game got along, but this was the goal call made during the game. So I had fun, man, we had a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone who was out there, 18,000 plus in attendance. Can't wait to do it all over again. Hopefully it'll be sometime soon. And who knows, there could be other stuff too that I'll be involved with, hopefully out there with Camping World Stadium. So tons of fun, a lot of pressure. And Dunkin' Dad, I could tell you, my heart wanted to pound out of my chest, I felt like at one point I was going to end up passing out because it was just that kind of intense moment. But man, it was so much fun. How are you, Dunkin' Dad?
Doing well. I just have to commend you because I went back and I think I've re-listened to that clip about 6-7 times. And taking it in context and waiting and having the patience to hold off on that because you just want to react, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I saw it. It's there. People are going nuts. And then it's like, wait a minute. Not going to mess this up. Not going to mess this up. Okay, there it is. And then to carry that energy, and then it just swells and swells and swells. Man, that's just like, that's something. Like 18,000 people hanging on your word.
Yeah.
That's pretty big, man. That's pretty big.
It was fun because you can see kind of the reaction as I'm saying it looking down because no one could see up because of the tinted glass. It was except for the booth that was next to it. For some reason they didn't tint it, but supposedly that is the instant replay booth that was next to us. But there was nobody. They didn't have the instant replay upstairs. They had it down on the field because it was a friendly. So the normal setup wasn't there. But then there were fans that came there because they were selling like all the suites. And then this dad and I believe daughter, or it could have been dad and wife or whatever, but they're looking at me, sending me messages like they're writing it on their phone and then putting it up to the glass. The guy was telling me that he was the official announcer out there in Colombia, but he made the trip here to the States so he can watch his club play. But no, it is because then, so the producer is to the right of me, and then the audio sound guy is to the right of him. So the producer is telling the DJ, okay, get ready to cue up the music. Sound guy, get ready to hit the horn. And then he's looking at me and like he's got his finger pointed. I'm waiting and I got my finger on the trigger. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we have to wait. They do the celebration. And he goes, okay, go. I'm like, all right. And so I end up going, but it was so much fun. I'm forever thankful for everybody who put it together. And it was so much fun. So a lot of teams, a lot of organizations that were involved in making a lot of things happen, but it was cool to get the call from the organization itself, from Soccer ID, to be able to make things happen. So I'm beyond thankful and grateful for the opportunity. Rick says, I'm not even going to read Spalding because I know he made a joke. We talked about it earlier during the Predators, but he says, not sure which I have more nerves about, calling a game or driving to Orlando I-4. I-4 sucks. I-4 sucks. Yeah. It's horrible. Horrible. Even Duncan Dad's experienced it.
It's ridiculous. That stretch as you approach the Magic Kingdom, the Disney area.
Yeah.
And it's just forget it. Just shut it down. Put it in like first gear, if kids know how to do that nowadays, and just coast. It's just horrible. And then people all over the place at the end. No, not for me. I'll take 95. I'll take Schuylkill Expressway all day.
Yeah. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
Hey, Duncan Dad, how are you?
It's like throw coffee in my mouth. Yeah, don't drink on the air, Duncan. Good, doing really good. I know you guys were hitting on the Eagles game, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a couple seconds again, and kind of chop up the rest of the NFL schedule. But it was good. It was a good weekend. It was nice because we had really good weather out this way, and I made this comment to my lady. I said, it just so happens that these first 2 weekends of like the football season, guys here in the Delaware Valley, we had the game on Friday, don't have another game until Monday, so everyone's roped into the fall decorating, the pumpkin patches, going out and doing the little, activities and stuff like that. So, hey, take what you get. Take what you get, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Rick says Highway 27 or Champions Gate. Go ahead, Fuge.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with Duncan Dad. I was going to say, it's like the crisp air starting to, in the mornings now, it was like beautiful the last couple mornings, probably in the 70s. And finally, hopefully, we're done with that humidity up here in Philly.
Do you guys wish for it? I don't listen. Even when I lived in Philly, I couldn't stand when it started getting chillier. That's just me. I couldn't friggin' stand it. But it drove me bananas. Because then it's something for a fact too, Fuji. It's not that far away where it's just going to turn that suck face weather. Same way with Duncan Dad. Although hopefully he'll be back here sooner before later. But it's absolutely horrible. By the way, adding to the mix here, as we had the party line going on Friday, why not do it again on Monday? Gas Pump Guy joins us from Fort Myers. Gas Pump Guy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
We're good. Victory Monday.
Yes, sir. How about them Bucks?
How about them Bucks?
Yeah, Bucks look good. Bigger
2 weeks away, we'll be squaring off.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure.
Little bit of smack talking, I'm sure that'll be going down.
Oh, well, that's how you got to do it. If you don't smack talk, then what's the point of watching?
Well, that's how we do it. It's how we do it here in Philly. No other way. No, we're from Philly. We're from Philly. No one likes us. We don't care.
We got a War of the Roses going on already in my house.
Oh boy. Oh, that's right. That's right. I forget that someone's lady is also from this area. So yeah, I'm quite sure that's gonna be something else. By the way, Spalding wants to know there, Duncan Dad, do you drink Starbucks?
I am an equal opportunity coffee drinker if it's available. I don't prefer Starbucks because I still feel as if they burn a lot of their coffees, but I actually just picked up, or my lady picked up the other day. They have a fall blend, Starbucks does, and last year I bought the ground coffee, and it
Right.
just got to be a pain in the bottom putting the French press all the time because I'm bougie like that. So we got the K cups this year, so I'm sort of excited to pop them because cold weather, change change the palate a little bit. It's nice. Got to mix it up.
I have not tried that French press. Is it all what people say it is?
You got to have the right temperature water.
Okay.
You got to let it brew for the right amount of time. You have to press it, and then you really have to drink it within like the first 20 some minutes. Like pour yourself a cup, pour somebody else a cup. If not, when it sits in the bottom, so much of like the acids and the tannins start to come up with it, and you get
Right.
that not like the bitter coffee taste, but the oils really present themselves. And it's all about how much you grind the coffee beans as well. Some people like it super thin, like an espresso, so you can make it with shots. Other people make it real loose, so it's kind of like light or whatever. So it's a lot to get into, but it's a good cup of coffee. If you got a really good coffee, like a coffee bean, like a Hawaiian or Jamaican blue, or there's a Kenyan, like those coffees in a French press,
Right.
perfect. Other than that, don't waste your time with it, man. Just go get a cup of coffee, put it in the K cup machine, run it through Mr. Coffee, just drink it. It's like the sandwiches. It's about the water. It's about the bread, right? I mean, like if your water's kind of funky, like you guys got in there, purify the water, then send it through.
Yeah. Well, now if I need a perfect temperature of water, I just put it in Fuji's hands because he gets fired up sometimes. It'll be the right temperature. Therefore, I can put it in. So you learn a little bit about everything around here, folks. Football, a little bit of what happens with Facebook, food, coffee, you name it. We do a little bit of everything around here. So, but no, I appreciate Gas Pump Guy. What a game. And I think I just found out about 10 minutes ago that Baker Mayfield had just left Ray J after, saying hello to everyone and high-fiving it all. And it's funny because it's a tale of two tales. When he was with Cleveland, it was almost, I don't want to say a hatred by Browns fans because they weren't hating on him, but it's the funny part that I found during the broadcast yesterday was the comparison between Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield. And they weren't like trying to super mock Tom Brady, but they said how Baker Mayfield will go around, talk to the bench, talk to everyone, talk to a lot of fans versus Tom Brady being a celebrity was something completely different. But I keep saying this, Gas Pump Guy. I've said this to you a bunch of times at this point. It is time for the Bucs as we get into the game here. It's time for the Bucs to have that serious conversation with Baker Mayfield and say, listen, we want you here at least for next 3 years. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you're not wrong. And just to touch on what you're saying about the comparisons between him and Tom Brady, I heard Coach Bowles tell him when he first got there that he's not replacing Tom Brady. He's not trying to he doesn't want him to fit Tom Brady's shoes. He says, we're putting Tom Brady's shoes on the shelf. You're here now, so let's do what you got to do and make sure you're to the fullest of your ability. And I think Liam Combs, bringing in Liam Combs, I think that is boosted Mayfield's abilities. Like he brought him out more, and he just gets along with everybody on the field, and he talks to everybody, defense, offense, running backs, tight ends. He talks to everybody, and I think that's what's making the difference, that he's not afraid to sit down with everybody and talk to everybody like a normal person would,
That's the way it should be. Because again, you're an NFL athlete and you're fortunate enough to make it out there. I mean, I wish that, we joke around a whole lot on the show because I just love to. I would have loved to seen Fuji on the field, on the gridiron. Because I think like you're going back to like the LT days, that'd have been Fuji. In my opinion, I think that would have been him on the gridiron, just going out there and breaking teeth and just not caring whatsoever. He might apologize to you after he took out your teeth, but it would just been great to see Fuji out there on the gridiron. But no, listen, Mike Evans, obviously we saw, two from him. I mean, you look around, and I think a lot of people really didn't give the Bucs kind of like the respect they deserve because they are silently loaded with weapons. And I think I told you they loaded up the cannons last night. We were going back and forth with the text messages. They are loaded, and Baker Mayfield looked really good yesterday. Even though the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, which, and I'll get into him in a minute as well because some foolish mistakes that he was making, but Baker Mayfield just looked poised. He looked confident. It was nice to see the Bucs fans that actually came alive in most of the game. But again, I don't understand it for the life of me why there isn't a whole bunch of Bucs talk come Monday, and even the local folks around here, the local yokels that might talk about it for about 2 minutes and move on to other things. But the way Baker Mayfield played yesterday that made Todd Bowles shine so much, it was just nice to see that he does have this team believing that they can make it far this season. And as I mentioned to you on Friday, and we talked about it, and it's only game 1, week 1. We all understand this. And you look at what New Orleans did, but again, they played, the Panthers, not for nothing. I mean, this kid, with Carolina Panthers still has yet to see anything whatsoever in Carolina because I just don't believe what the Panthers are doing. But you look at Tampa Bay after this game, guess what, guy? Is it still Tampa's division to lose?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look at the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. I mean, they hyped them up so much, and honestly, I just watched some of the highlights. I didn't see anything spectacular to be blown away. Like, wow, I don't know how we're gonna beat that. The Falcons, I think they might be our best chance or our best opponents. The Saints, they're right there also. The Panthers, I really don't have anything to say about the Panthers because I haven't seen anything in the last 3 years to say that they might be competitive. I think they're a lost cause, to be honest with you. So I think if the Bucs just stay on the straight and narrow and just keep playing the way they're playing, they could definitely win this. And if they have any hiccups or anything, I think that's where they might gain ground on them. But other than that, I see the Bucs winning this division.
I really want to see it. And I know, listen, I joke around a lot. It was funny because Fuji keeps saying, I know that jersey's somewhere in there in that closet. And I laugh every time I open up the closet door. Listen, let me straighten this out, folks, because I don't want people to get it all twisted. When I open up the closet door, it always reminds me of Fuji because when he came to the house, I think it was the year before. Time flies since I've been down here. But I think it was like the year before when he stayed here with us. He's like, I didn't get a chance to see your closet, so I don't know what's in there. But no, there is no Tom Brady jersey. If anything, my producer, she would out me if that's the case. But the helmet is up there on the shelf. But listen, you got to this Bucs team, and I know they're like that shelf team that no one really talks about. And I'm talking about nationally too, so it's not just here locally, which I tease a lot of radio stations around here. But nationally, there's not a lot of talk behind this Bucs organization now. Am I 100% sold on this Bucs organization as far as the owner? He's really starting to remind me a lot, both Fuji and Duncan Dad, of Angelo's family with the Orioles before they finally decide Peter to take a walk there. But he reminds me of that because how in the world were you thinking or even had second or third thoughts on Mike Evans, which I still think Mike Evans should get a better contract than what he originally got right now? But that should have been a no-brainer. If you're looking at Tristan Wirfs, the same way you should be looking at Mike Evans, like, how do we not pay this guy? But the Bucs are going to learn, and if the Bucs fans were just like Eagles fans, if you don't show up to the games, guess what? You're sending a message to the GM and you're sending a message to the owner. But if you keep showing up, and I hate to say it about Florida, but Florida is just very used to like, it's okay. How much is gas? $100? At least it's not $101. It's bizarre and strange to me. So the whole thing is I think this organization really needs to see what they have right now that it can continue to build up for the future. But a rookie running back that they have, again, your wide receiving core, this defense, which, made that team look stellar yesterday against the Commanders, which let's not forget either that my hermano, who's coming up from 3 to 5, and I know it's just one game. He'll bring it up on his show. But he did mention that the Commanders were going to win the division. I don't see it the way that the gameplay was yesterday. On top of, and by the way, Rick Marcus says that Mike Evans might be a bit underrated. That this kind of guy that deserves the big bucks. Yeah, so I'm not too sure.
Is he watching the games? Look at those 2 contested catches. Not many players can make those catches, and they were both contested, both touchdowns.
No, they were. They were definitely both contested there. I'm not too sure. I don't know if it was Dylan or not calling in, as I couldn't get the phone fast enough.
It is Dylan. He just texted me. He's trying to call in.
All right. Well, he can try it again.
I don't know if there's enough of us on here. More than enough.
No, again, we'll make it a party. It's fine. Listen, when you own the network, you can do whatever you want to, and I try to make as many people as happy as I possibly can. By the way, the folks out in Brazil, thank you so much also, not only for listening in, for obviously downloading the audio as well after the fact. And by the way, you guys, when the shows are over, minus today, which is a crazy busy day, let me add somebody else here to the mix. Let me merge that for a second. And Dylan, just hold on with your thoughts here for a minute. But if as the day progresses, minus Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are pretty much hectic for me. But after the shows are available on demand under Sports Radio 102.9thegame.com, SR1029thegame.com. Look under the Sports Radio tab. Under there, the morning show with Pete Shepard, that'll be there. My show will be there. And then obviously Q show will be on later on today as well. But always check out the downloaded content. But Dylan, are you there?
I am there. Can you guys hear me okay? It's like the peanut gallery now.
No, we don't hear you.
Good to be on, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Dylan, you're well, I don't know. Did you said that you guys gave up being season ticket holders?
We did, yes.
Did you make it out to the game yesterday?
I did not make it out to the game yesterday. Just I had to work yesterday, and I couldn't make it out, but I enjoyed what I saw yesterday. I think there were a few things that we could clean up, especially on penalties. But overall, I thought the team played well, and I'm looking forward to next week. It'll be a real test against Detroit. That's going to be a real telling point of where this team's at. So, interesting game next week.
I think there's a lot of teams, not to include obviously what Tampa Bay did, because the Eagles had their fair share, Green Bay had their fair share. I mean, a lot of teams you can see, but a lot of the referees too. Like which game was it yesterday? Well, no, excuse me, I'm thinking about the soccer game on Saturday. The ref must have blown his whistle. Honest to God, like every 2 minutes. It still went by quick, but they were heavily involved, and I think the fans were getting upset. But no, it's like. The beginning week one, we would expect for a lot of these teams and the penalties. The new one that was lined up, I think, Duncan Dad, you brought it up on Friday, how they line up. We saw a lot of calls over the weekend. That seemed the most prevalent one for everyone is that where they stand. And I don't think the final numbers have come out, but you had to guess at least plus minus. It must have been about 35 over the weekend.
Easily. It's just people adapting to the new rule change. People adapting to even the kickoff. There's a couple false starts on the kickoff as well. Guys are still holding back. They're like, oh, ball's kicked, I'm going. And it's like, oh, bring it back. So that takes time, right? That's, learning process when they implement all these new rules. And they design it to speed up the game. They design it to open up the offense.
Yeah, the only thing that I found interesting was the now if you're going to do an onside kick, which you have to announce that there's going to be an onside kick, and then you have to follow through, so you can't fake the funk. It's basically either you're kicking it or you're not, one or two. So I'm okay with that one. Although yesterday, who was it? Was it I believe it was Commanders that announced the onside kick and then just kicked it directly to the Bucks. I mean, if you were going to do that, why bother? You might as well just pump it. You caught that one too, gas pump guy?
Yeah, that was the Commanders game where they did the onside kick and they just kicked it right to the guy. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be really good. I mean, we all say it every year, but I think what I'm looking more forward to is Aaron Rodgers probably sitting down on the bench after about the first round of plays tonight in San Fran, because it's again, yesterday he made a comment something about, or it might have been even on Saturday, that when one of the reporters asked him, what do you think about, coming up on Monday night and blah, blah, blah. And it was almost like, and I have the clip, but I'll bring it up maybe after the break here, but he mentions how it's about almost like it's about me. I don't care about the Jets. It's about me. Oh, and then there's the Jets. And then if they don't, live up to expectations, it's the Jets being the Jets. You are supposed to be the captain of this team. You already got thrown under the bus for what you did during this scheduled event that you had during training camp, which made absolutely no sense. But it's just, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers. I'm becoming not a fan of Jayden Daniels, because how are you taking where the NFL consistently talks about being safe on the field, and you want to be too cute for the room and wear your chin strap where your helmet looks like a bobblehead as you're running down the field, you get it knocked off twice. And then if you would have had a concussion, who are you going to blame? The NFL for a thin helmet, or for you having a thin brain not to attach that that chin strap the way you're supposed to? So guess what, guy? I want to get your thoughts first, and I'll get it from Fuji, Dylan, and then Duncan Dad. But it is, should the NFL hand a fine down to Daniels?
I mean, I think if it keeps going, then yes, because even the commentators were like, "Hey, man, you got to get that thing fitted on there right." I mean, the one his helmet came off. I think it was the second time it came off. The guy barely touched his helmet and it flew off. I mean, you can't be doing stuff like that, especially that close to a helmet to your head. If he moves just slightly to the left, to the right, and he gets knocked in the head, then that's dangerous. That's not something that they want to see going on. So if it keeps up and he doesn't fix the problem, then yes, I think he should get some fines down if it keeps happening.
Fuji?
It's the first I'm actually hearing it. I didn't see it, but I mean, I remember one year, this was probably mid-2000s. Remember the Eagles were playing Dallas in Philly, and what's his name? The tight ends, Jason Witten, his helmet came off, and he's like running down the field like 20 yards with his helmet off. And luckily, nobody popped him, God forbid, anybody get a concussion or, a severe head injury that, could really do damage to you. I mean, if how long's Jaden Daniels been playing this game? And it's you would think, you're playing this game since you're a little kid, all the CTE stuff going on over the years. Yeah, he should definitely be fine because right from wrong. And it's, safety first. I mean, you wonder why they changed the rules in the NFL over the years for stuff like whether somebody gets hit or popped in the head, losing your helmet, it definitely cause, God forbid, I don't want to see anybody just get hurt or killed, or God forbid, on the field. Yeah, so definitely should be fine.
Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I mean, safety is the number one priority, right? I mean, the NFL has always been harkening down on safety, and obviously, I didn't get a chance to see the play, to be honest with you. I was keeping up with the game, but I was also kind of doing some other things as the game progressed, as it got a little bit more out of hand. But I mean, safety is the number one priority, and if the players aren't going to adhere to the rules that are set by the NFL, I think you got to penalize them for that. And obviously, you don't want to hurt anybody. I mean, there's been so many players who have had some serious injuries that have cost them not maybe their career or potentially, life threatening with the Damar Hamlin situation. So, safety's got to be number one priority, and I wouldn't be opposed if it continues to happen. They got to, lay the law down, if you will.
Duncan?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time that the helmet came off during the game, because we went out and watched the game, I was like, wow, that flew off pretty quick, pretty easy. And normally, when the helmet gets dislodged and it's because a bunch of guys were on top of you. But he kind of just turned into the pile and popped, it came off. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, that's going to be easy. The equipment guys don't run over him, tighten up the chin straps, lock it back on. And then on the goal line, like Gaspont was saying, he just turned, put his head back like this, and boom, flies off again. And I was like, dude, you got to tighten that stuff up. I mean, you come around an edge, you're a running quarterback, first of all. You get spun around, somebody hits you square, that stuff's flying right off. So should they get fined? It's going to happen NFL, administrative-wise. The league's going to release a memo, declaring everybody, saying, hey, listen, tighten up your equipment, make sure everybody's on the same page, blah, 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 blah. All the equipment managers are going to get a little, slap on the wrist today, et cetera, et cetera. But right, if it does continue and the guys are doing it for their looks or their comfortableness or whatever, look, it's a seatbelt, right?
Right.
You're driving a car. Part of the car is put the seatbelt on. This is part of the end. This is your safety equipment. Right? Right. You have to have that thing strapped in, and we see this consistently. And I don't know why it doesn't happen a lot of times to the wide receivers who They might not necessarily be in the route, and they don't get the mouthpiece in. Yeah, quick it turns where you got to be a defensive player because the ball gets popped up or whatever, and then you're fighting to try to get this in your mouth. And I know a lot of guys wear them as decoration, leave the one that dangles, but listen, Fuji made the point, Gaspin point, Dylan made the point, you made the point. They're just pushing safety, CTEs, concussions, people blowing out their knees. Like, tighten it up, tighten this up, man.
You think? That's the reason why they put it up there. By the way, it's 11:02 here, top of the hour number 2 of Martinez Company, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM, thegame.com. Also by our friends over at Ion Tampa Bay. If you guys are looking for the latest news, weather, and traffic, which is the latest weather down there for the far left part of the Gulf of Mexico, nearby Mexico and the bottom part of Texas, that tropical cyclone could be turning into a hurricane that could be heading out to Louisiana. Louisiana really, really doesn't need any kind of more. And for the most part, either Houston, they had a lot of rain this summer. So this would not be a good way to end the summer here coming soon, even though it's September 21st is when the beginning of fall. And some places, listen, there's certain things that drive me bananas. I don't know why people want to rush the holidays when around here in Florida, it's summer all year round. But we've seen people that they've already put out like pumpkin stuff and fall colors, this and that. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What's everybody racing for, to race the seasons around? But I want to get 2 thoughts. I want to bring up one thing. And by the way, speaking about car seats, every time Dylan rides with us, I got to keep telling him to sit down, strap on his car seat because he's like a kid. He bounces up and down all over the place. He drives me bananas. Of course, I kid.
Okay, sure. Whatever you say there, genius.
I can picture that too.
All right, so I want to bring up here when this was a comment that I was talking about where Aaron Rodgers, this is courtesy of SNY Network, but the question was asked about Aaron Rodgers, and he expects greatness from himself every time he takes the field. So I want to get your thoughts after this. Here's Aaron's comments.
Coach also said to ask you if you were playing with a chip, because we asked him.
Oh.
So he said ask Aaron.
I mean, how do you not? I've always kind of played with something on my shoulder. You got to, manufacture things from time to time. But, it kind of goes back to the prove it. Who do I need to prove to? Just myself at this point. So, but I have a lot of pride in my performance. So when I take the field, I expect greatness. And because I've done it before, and so that's kind of the standard I hold myself to.
By the way, just in by the NFL, Panthers Pro Bowl defensive lineman Derek Brown suffered a potentially season-ending knee injury in Sunday's loss to the Saints. So that's from Tom Pelissero. So that's a big one. I'll start out, Duncan, Dad, with you. Your thoughts?
There's no getting, There's no getting around the fact that Aaron Rodgers is one of the, top 10 quarterbacks of all time, right? He's a great quarterback, right? But a great quarterback and being great at your craft doesn't necessarily translate a lot of times to being a great captain. Not a leader, but a captain, right? He's not a rah-rah, rowdy troop kind of guys, right? He has his 1 or 2 people that he's carried with him. He loves Randall Cobb, takes him where he goes. He was super ticked off that they didn't re-sign their stud receiver while he was in Green Bay like 4 or 5 years ago. Like he's in it because he has this talent. He has this ability. Like he's good. What I would in his prime, I take him as my quarterback, right? But this transition that we've seen in him over the years to where he does, like he carries his chip on his shoulder, not only in I got to prove it on the field, but personally and then publicly. Like you're not that you have to, win friends, but in a locker room, you do have to get these people on board. And there's already, there's already drama inside the Jets locker room, right? The Hassan Reddick thing, Salah's on the hot seat. How many balls is Wilson going to get this year? Like there's a lot of things going on. And the NFL has sort of pseudo anointed him as this, we're giving you guys all these primetime games. We're going to put you up in a really good strength of schedule. And quote unquote, and just said by tons of people, like Aaron Rodgers owes us. Like, what does he owe you? What you think they're going to come out there and be gangbusters? Like, comments. I probably was one of the guys that said it. The Jets are still the Jets until they're not the Jets.
Yeah,
seriously. And this attitude that's going on, and all the preseason stuff with him, you're still being the Jets, man. You're still being the Jets.
Yep. No matter what, that's exactly what they are. I want to get to a comment here as well. If I get it back here, flipping it back from the Jets or back over to Tampa Bay, because I want Gaslam Guy to hear this, and I want to get his thoughts on this, and from Dylan as well. This is Todd Bowles on Baker Mayfield and his offense, and he thought that Baker did a heck of a job out there on the field. This is courtesy of the Buccaneers webpage.
Well, Baker did a heck of a job. He was good with his throws. He was good with his reads, with his checks. Everything was on point. He was excited. He ran when he had to, made some plays with his feet. He played a good overall game.
Gaslam Guy?
Yeah, I agree with Coach. He was looking down the field even when he was moving around, he was still looking down the field. And there was one where he could have ran and got at least the first down, but he decided to throw it and it was incomplete. But Baker seems, from last year to this year, it seems like Baker is more comfortable doing Baker things. I know that sounds, what does that mean? That means Baker likes to move around. He likes to look downfield. He likes to check down. He's doing things that he knows he can do, and he's doing it really well.
Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, Baker, I don't know. I mean, I think he's been a stud since he's been here in Tampa. And, I think he's going to continue to be the leader of this team. And I think he's changed his perspective a lot as well ever since joining Tampa Bay. And I've enjoyed seeing how he's been.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, if I could just jump in real quick about Tampa. So let's clear the air here with this, right? Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
He should have gotten paid a long time ago. I was flabbergasted when I saw the graphic that said that Tampa Bay has no offensive players in the Hall of Fame. And then I started to recount myself. I was like, yeah, they probably don't. So anyway, Evans is going to be that guy. Number two, Baker Mayfield is a winner, right? But he's a winner. People forget about him because he was waterlogged in with all of these other quarterbacks coming out of college. And then he got sent to the cesspool of the NFL in Cleveland where they didn't really want to do anything for him, right? And then he get wrapped up in the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Then he gets shipped off to Tampa Bay where he's got to fall in line after they just won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Like, that's a little bit, but he persevered, he came through. And the one thing I'll say about his game performance yesterday, two things. Gaslamp just mentioned it. There was the one rollout rush where he probably would have got the first down, made the throw, it was incomplete. And then there was a throw early in the second quarter where the game was still tight. He tried to go to Godwin on the outside and was almost picked off by the Redskins. And that was the only throw all day where he took something off of his throw. As soon as that ball got knocked to the ground, something clicked in his head, and he was like, okay, I'm going to fully engage all the way. All my throws are going to be crisp. I'm not going to force anything. And for me, yesterday, I know 4 touchdowns, right? I get the offense side of it. But in football, good teams beat bad teams.
Right.
Washington is a bad team. Tampa Bay is an above-average team. They're a really good above-average team. They need to beat a bad team, and that's what they did. They beat them in every facet of the game. Rashad White, I hope you have him signed. I hope you give him your fantasy league or whatever. He's phenomenal. Running the ball, catching the ball. The rookie running back, get out of his way. You line up with Godwin, line up with Evans, and you have Baker who's got the creativity and the freedom now to use all these offensive pieces. Yeah, Detroit will be a big test. But in 2024 NFL, if I line up Detroit over here and I line up Tampa Bay over here, let's have a shootout. And guess what? I'll flip a coin at that point. Seriously, I'll flip a coin because Gibbs and White are going to offset each other. Godwin and Williams are going to offset each other. St. Brown and Evans are going to offset each other. So now I've got Baker Mayfield versus Jared Goff. Well, I'll take that bet. Tampa's a really good, underrated team, and they will get better as the year progresses.
That they will. We'll get into it. Football Friday. We'll get into the upcoming games, and I still got to bring up to see how we end up doing on our picks. I forgot to write down actually how we end up doing the plus minus. So
I've done that. I did that for you. We're prepared for the program.
All right, sweet. All right. Before you get into it, there, Duncan Dad, but Dylan, I know you're semi close to the Bucs organization, but and I'm just saying this so Bucs fans, and if anybody from the organization is listening, I'm not ousting you guys, but I wanted to bring up the stats from Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, obviously the running backs. and you go to TampaBayBuccaneers.com, Buccaneers.com/team/stats. This is so you guys can go out there and verify yourselves. And you look under like 2024, I'm like, okay, I can see the team stats. And then you go back down to see the player stats. Nothing. Passing, nothing. Rushing, nothing. Receiving, nothing. Again, and then they wonder why they talk about the Bucs around here. So you get, come on, Tampa Bay, get it together.
Hey, listen, I got the stats in front of me.
I got them too.
Okay. And I'm just pointing out there, when it comes to their website, they should do a little bit better. Make sure they put the stats up there. I mean, the fans are going back there for it. I'm just letting you know. That's where usually you want to go directly to the heart of the team. And where do you go for a heart of the team when you go to the website? Eagles did it. Bucs fans, come on now. Or Bucs.
Just by doing it in real time.
Huh?
Real.
Yeah. Who said real what?
I was gonna say real quick. I don't know if it was Gas Pump Guy or if it was Duncan Dad who had mentioned about there are no offensive Hall of Fame inductees. There are actually 4 Hall of Fame inductees who are offensive. Tim Brown played for the Bucs for 1 season. Randall McDaniel played for the Bucs for 1 season. I think 1 season. No, 2 seasons. My bad. Steve Young, obviously, and Ken Strong. So there you go.
I think
hold on.
Steve Young for 49ers, though. Come on.
Yeah, I think they have to be like 4 years with a team in order to retire as a guy. Yeah.
Buccaneer.
But Rick wants to know.
They still got it. Hey, listen, they still got inducted.
They still got inducted. That's right.
They were with the Bucs. So.
Oh man.
Hold on, because I might be with Fuji on this one here, though, Dylan. I understand they got inducted, but who did they retire with? Right, they didn't retire as a Buck.
Actually, Tim Brown retired as a Buccaneer. So there you go.
All right. So 1 out of the 4 you read.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Randall McDaniel.
1 out of the 4 that you read.
Randall McDaniel also retired as a Buccaneer.
Okay.
McDaniel retired as a Buccaneer.
All right. So your assignment, Dylan, this week is to go down there to Ray J, look at the Hall of Fame ring up there, and then figure out which one you had right.
Well, that's different. That's a different.
Vinny.
So. I'm just saying.
Listen, it's all in jest here. No one's taking it serious. Trust me.
I know.
It's all our opinions. Rick said, by the way, who's the king of the hill this week with the pick? So with that, we'll go with Duncan Dad.
All right. Well, in no particular order, we had 2 individuals who were 5-0. I think Rick knew this going into it. So Rick was 5-0. Angel was 5-0. I was 4-1 because I bet against the Eagles. Fuji 3-2, and Gas Pump Guy was 2 wins and 3 losses.
You know, it's funny. I think a Gas Pump Guy texted me on Saturday where I was at the venue, letting me know that maybe Sunday he would end up bouncing back. So, hey, listen, there's a long season. We'll do more picks coming up this Friday. I haven't got a chance to look at the other one either. That's on the website to see how everybody the 16-week picks. What's that, Fuji?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was going to say what's the winner get?
Listen. Like I said,
fucking smack.
Winner gets this industrial-sized jar of Utz cheese balls.
I think Duncan Dad needs to send us coffee.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
All right.
No, that's okay. It's all as I say all the time. It's all about having fun and enjoying ourselves. It's no big deal, as Rick says. Rick says too, what do you guys win? Right now you win bragging rights. I'll come up with something by the end of the season, but right now it's bragging rights because just because 2 of us win 5-0, it means absolutely nothing coming up next week. So I didn't even look. So and realized it was 5-0. So good job by Rick and myself and everybody else. But Gas Pump Guy, don't feel bad. 2-3. Trust me, there's a lot of bounce back room. Fuji at 3-2. Dylan didn't get in, so Dylan, you're already 0-5. Hate to break the news to you.
I'm 0-0. I'm actually, I guess I'll be still losing. Even though,
you sure would be, because even if you join this week.
Get me in this week. I'll hop in this week.
All right, we'll see. We'll put the picks up there like the way I did last week for everybody to follow along. So it was nice, and then I'll get the update and put it up there as well for this week's picks. Things, or if not, Duncan Dad could put it up there, and I'll retweet it for everyone to see. But it's all, as I said, we all do it to enjoy ourselves here. There's another comment that came in, as Rick says, I will throw in a hat from Southwest for the winner, me not included, obviously because he worked for him. So, hey, not bad whatsoever. So the other thing that I want to kind of get into, and I want to ask everybody here, and I want to bring, the situation with Tyreek Hill, which I thought this is a little bit nuts. In my opinion, it's a little bit nuts. Now, if I understand if you break the law, you're doing something dumb, whatever, okay, to an extent, because I don't want anybody sending all kinds of hate mail. To an extent, you get what you deserve. Meaning, if there is a law enforcement officer that's trying to make you to cooperate, as we've seen on TV a bunch of times and different shows and stuff, and you decide you want to just be, Johnny not be good and go ballistic, then you get what you deserve. Again, to a certain extent. I don't know what happened. And obviously, we saw the longest piece someone had recorded was like 50 seconds long, and they showed when they had him on the ground. We have learned since yesterday there is a Miami-Dade officer that's been put on administrative leave. But again, body cams don't lie, as I mentioned this morning on the Pete Shepard show, because the body cam will tell the story, depending who was the first officer on the scene. On top of, if it was a traffic violation, seriously, was it too much? And I saw the comments. There was some comments. Honest to God, people, I don't know what you guys are thinking, because some of it was really, really out there. And I know people do it probably to try and get under people's skin, but some of the stuff that was up there, I didn't retweet it, didn't like it or anything else like that, because I wanted to find out exactly what went on with Tyreek Hill. But the nice thing that I thought was when they talked to him on the post-game conference, he had mentioned that he wanted to take this and make it into a positive, that whatever happened, even though it could have been a negative light, but he wants to still work with Miami-Dade, find out exactly, because he said he had no idea either, and he was the one being detained. But he said he had no idea either what was going on. What we saw in the video was him being on the ground. The one cop had his knee, I believe, on his lower back. You can hear another cop saying something to him. And then there was another video somebody had put out where he was being sat down on the sidewalk, and it looked like one of the cops kind of forced him down. So again, I don't know. All we're going is by speculation, folks. So don't freaking come after me like I know exactly what I'm talking about. But he did mention, Tyreek Hill had mentioned that he wanted to make this a positive out of the negative, meaning that he wants to work with Miami-Dade and work with the community and just say, hey, we can do better. Let's see what happened, and let's make it where everybody learns from whatever it was that was going on. Now, from what was being told by Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, was he was speeding a little bit coming towards the stadium. It was 3 hours prior to the game. You guys will also hear me say this as well. The match did not start at Camping World Stadium at 7 p.m., but I left my house at 12:30 and arrived at about 2:50-ish or so down there in Orlando. Is it an overkill? Possibly, but guess what? I don't have to deal with the traffic or anything else because I knew how many seats were being sold and how the traffic is around Camping World Stadium. So Tyreek Hill could have come down in a super negative light, and God knows what would have happened if that was the case, but he handled it well. We're all waiting to see what's going to end up happening out of this. But Fuji, I want to start out with you. And I don't know if you saw the video or not, but was it too much what the Miami-Dade County cops did to Tyreek Hill without us finding out all the information?
I didn't really see the whole video, I heard at one point one of the police officers, I don't know if this was true or not, but I heard one of the police officers kicked him. And my impression, it seems like it's a little over the top. I know, like you say, I'm sure there's still more that needs to, come out. But I believe it was, drastic. Especially today when it's just, everything's just recorded. And, for police officer to kill Tyreek Hill, that's, I don't know, in some case, as you said, he was suspended, but, today it's some police officer could get fired for that, even if it's striking somebody. But again, we don't know the details, but I would say it was a little over the top.
All right, Duncan, Ned, you look like you have some extra information with a look in your eyes.
Well, no, I posted this onto X or whatever as soon as it came up, and I have a little experience in this genre. And I stated that the officer clearly struck the detained individual has some serious questions to answer. So Campbell, who's also detained on the traffic stop, he got out of the car on the right side, and it looks like he's standing there, and he must have said something or chided in while they were trying to talk to Tyreek, and one of the officers sort of comes up from behind him, and that's the guy that gets, bumped or hit or allegedly hit. So I'm assuming that that's the officer who was put on leave, because if you have someone detained, they're in handcuffs, unless they're being combative, belligerent, not listening to your commands, there's no need to engage them in a physical manner. It's almost like an assault. The way that my experience is that you were put in charge of them, more or less. So anything that happened to them, you would be responsible for. If they twisted their ankle, if they cut themselves on glass, if whatever that was, like once you get the cuffs on somebody, they're yours. Treat them nice, unless of course they bring the fight to you. Another side note is that normal traffic violations, they don't warrant this type of detainment or arrest. Driver's combative, perhaps. That's probably went on here. I'm sure there was a little, do you know who I am, thrown out. Maybe not from Tyreek Hill, maybe from the other guy. Like, yo, we're trying to get into the stadium. Why are you busting our balls? Blah, 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 blah. Unless he made a threat towards the officer, unless he is suspected of some kind of drug or whatever paraphernalia, DUI, firearm, stuff like that, or he has an outstanding warrant for some reason, because I know people float the idea of like, oh, well, maybe he's not paying his child support and baby things and blah, 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 and then he's coming into the stadium, so they just get him that way. This looks like Scotty Scheffler 2.0, just completely regurgitated, where people, it happens all the time, right? Like, you've seen it in media, Spalding's seen it, I'm sure Rick has seen it on the airlines. People are in this heightened state when they're going to these events, or they're undertaking something that isn't necessarily in their norm, and you already carry this level of bravado with you, like, man, you know who I am, get out of my way, I'm a gold member flyer, blah, 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 I own this press, and instantly, instead of one of the two parties taking a breath and be like, yo, all right, let's all just take a breath a second, now you got to get into the stadium, we're just trying to figure some stuff out, okay, hey, guess what, bang, 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 and be done with it. If you have two people that meet at those points, just like the Scheffler thing, it's going to go downhill quick. Taking them and putting them on the ground, like, for what? For what? Like, there's no need to take him and put him on the ground. He's cooperating with you. He's walking out of the car. He might be saying something to you, but at this point, he's probably trying to figure out, what the hell is going on? Was I speeding a little bit? Okay, cool. Here's a little summons. Go on your way. But perfect circumstances, perfect mix of everything going on. And yeah, like, there's a lot of people to answer questions. And I was impressed too. Like, the fact that Reed came out and he said, look, let's figure this out. Let's use it as a teaching tool, use it to teach him, because he's not always painted in the light. And even if it came from his agent, and Drew was like, yo, dude, spin this a good way, blah, blah, blah. That's what you need, because you need to break down these barriers of everyone's out to get you. Like, they're supposed to be there as a tool to help, but a lot of their tools are handcuffed because of things way above everybody else's pay grade. And now you're coming here with a certain impression, because this is how it's been systemically for all this time in my life across history. Like, yes, 2024, let's get out the whiteboard, let's wipe it off and clear it up, and let's take a step forward. So good on him. The other guys, come on, guys, you're getting a little overzealous.
Yep. No, I have to agree. By the way, I carry the Mike Fuji card everywhere I go. So if I ever get stopped and pull over, they just look at me and say, "Oh, sorry, sir. Your license is no good here. Keep moving." So I take the Fuji card with me, as I say it in jest. But no, and listen, we've seen stuff, and I'm pretty sure gas pump guys saying we down to Fort Myers. I mean, yeah, is there certain things that obviously are taking way out of proportion? And it's, again, if it's a minor, I mean, okay, let's just say hypothetically, just during game day, because they want to make sure everybody's safe pulling up to Hard Rock Stadium. So let's say that they slow down the speed from, let's say it's 45 to 25, and because they're making sure they're trying to be orderly. If, and again, I have no idea what went on. We'll find out more as it keeps getting unraveled here. Let's just say, God forbid, he was going, 30 in a 25? Really? And even if whoever it was that was in the car with them decided to say something, it's like, if you don't know who he is, and I'm pretty sure Tyreek Hill probably didn't say it, but if he did, he was like, listen, here's my ID, here's my whatever NFL credential. I'm this guy. I have to be out on the field. And if they decide to take a little bit extra, then, kind of shame on. But I don't want to speculate because I want to make sure that we get the answers from everyone as far as what ended up happening. Now,
and just super quick on that.
Sure.
Nationally, right, perception becomes reality. And it was brought to my attention as well because I'm not familiar how Miami-Dade and everybody runs their traffic details and stuff like that. There were an overabundance of officers in the area because it was a game day, because that's a highly traveled route into the stadium. So normally this would have been 1 or 2 guys, but you got like 9 guys there, right? There's like 3 bike guys, there's 2 SUVs there. So it looks like there's a lot more going on, but caveat emptor, right? When you have that many people involved, you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, not trying to be like, old school, call Duncan out, but too many people trying to be in charge in that situation, trying to get their 2 cents in. And, that's why you got to take a breath in those situations. You have to be the one who's in charge. And obviously there was a lot of that not happening.
That there wasn't, but I really, really, really hope that they get better.
I mean, the body cam footage come out, and he could be a total, A with a circle around it, and could have been going off at the cop. I mean, we don't know until we see that, but from what we see on the outside, it looks as if they went a little above what needed to be done.
Now, the other thing, when we get into it on the other side of the break here, we're going to take another quick one because we have gone an hour straight without an actual break. So I got to, again, make sure we end up paying the bills around here. But one thing I want to bring up, because we've heard, and we know a lot of people love to talk about Philly and booing, right? Giants fans decided they want to let it out on their team. And then you got some people saying that they really didn't like it. Well, guess what? Giants players / athletes, if you don't like what the Giants fans are doing, listen, a fan base is going to let you know how you guys are doing. No one greater than Philly is that they're going to let you know. They'll support you. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, too, when they need to let you have it, they will let you have it. So we're going to take a quick break here. 3 quick 30-second breaks, and then we'll be right back after it. Right after this, you guys are listening to Martinez Company here on the Coastal Sports Network, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game and SR1029thegame.com. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Chicken and Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our 2nd location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Eye on Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Eye on Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9 The Game, powered by Eye on Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Visit BroadStreetSouth.com and follow Angel on X and Instagram at SR1029 The Game. Now back to Martinez and Company on Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
Hear that, Facebook? BroadStreetSouth.com, which has converted over to SR1029thegame.com. I would have, again, choice words, but I'm not going to say choice words because I've already said it on Friday and I've already discussed it by anyways. So coming to, I hear the chants going, but no, the big thing is obviously with Giants fans are getting upset because of how this team is. Listen, everybody saw it on Hard Knocks, right? They're Saquon who is basically what they were saying to everybody. And I could be wrong, but that's what they were saying. Like, Saquon, we're going to end up passing. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. New York Jets, Hassan Reddick. If we make a deal, maybe we'll suit him up come game time. But at the same time, it's something about crickets. When they were asked over the weekend, is what do they think their thoughts as they're traveling out to San Fran? The deal's not getting done anytime soon, so I don't expect Hassan Reddick to be in uniform. But I want to get from I want to start out with Gaspar guy here on this one because Gaspar, you've been through many years with the Tampa Bay Bucks, just like Dylan has, where it's a laughable team. The Eagles did it with Chip Kelly. Every team in the NFL, not as long as the Browns fans, though, they own that brown paper bag. I mean, they've passed it around, but it's been worse. Giants fans booing their own team. Is it too much that obviously some of the players think that it shouldn't be happening?
No, I mean, honestly, like you said, the fans are going to let you know how you're doing. And what these players need to realize is that not only do the fans let you know how you're doing, the fans are also what contribute to how you get paid. So if you want to act like a jerk and all that kind of stuff and to be mad at your fans, that's only going to hurt you in the long run, because then your fans won't come to the games, won't buy your jerseys, won't do come to the training camps and all that kind of stuff, So the players need to realize that they need the fans more than the fans need them.
Yep. Dylan?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, players have to realize, like, basically what, Gaspar guy said. I mean,
is your phone underwater?
Hello?
Yeah, is your phone underwater?
He went for a swim.
I got my headphones on. Could that be the reason why?
Yeah, I would say take them off because it sounds like you're doing an AK-47 with your iPhone.
All right, does that sound better?
Make sure to completely disconnect and say something again.
Hello.
It's still kind of doing it, but go ahead, make your point.
Okay, I was just gonna say that.
There you go. That's better.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, the fans have to. They have to, the players have to, geez, now I lost my point.
All right.
Come on, Dylan, you got to help me out here, man.
I'm trying to, man. I'm sorry.
Good. I love for your Bucks, man. For your Bucks.
Dylan should be in one of those immigrant status freaking deals. Where are you from? I don't know. Are you sure? Yes. All right. Goodness. All right, you know what? I'll come back to you, Dylan. You can get your thoughts together. Fuji?
My thoughts?
Yes.
Oh, hey, me, being a season ticket holder, this team better go out and play every game like it's their last, because people like myself and other, whatever team it is, I mean, these tickets aren't cheap today.
Correct.
I mean, these players are getting top, millions of dollars to play. It's a privilege to play in the NFL, and they better be out there playing their ass off on every play. You know how we are up here, and that should be every fan base.
No, you're right, because it's the same way. That's why I wanted your opinion as well, because we know all about it. Duncan Dad knows about it too.
Absolutely. Well, there are a lot of places in this country that the team embodies the people, and the people sort of embody the team. If the Eagles win, people are genuinely happy for the week. If the Eagles lose, there's a drop in the overall esteem of the city. And I'm not joking. Fuji can speak to it. You can speak to it. And I think what's been lost in the modern day NFL, and I'm not harping on it because I want these guys to get paid, but the accountability to your job and to your fans and who you are putting a product out for. Yes, I know it's about you, and I know you have talent, and I want you guys to make as much money as you possibly can. But long gone are the days of the Mike Evans, right? Long gone are the days of the Tom Brady, of the Brian Dawkins, of the Lawrence, where these guys are they're invested in the name. They're invested in the name and everything that comes along with that. And it is hard nowadays for individuals who, in some degree, are more entitled than those that came before them and operate in a bubble where you can't criticize me. I'm just out here doing my job, but you know how to do it, blah, blah, blah. we understand that, but what you're doing is we can't be like you. And not only can't we be like you, but you're carrying my town, my city, my 60 minutes worth of a break maybe in a really crappy week. And I want you to give 110%, because that's what I would do. That's what we would do. And you have to get criticized for it, right? If you go to work and you don't perform at your job, you get called to the mat on it.
Right.
Well, you're in an entertainment, in a professional business where people, hardworking people, are paying good money to see a performance, to see you do your job. We're going to hold you accountable for it. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. There's been so many players that have just gone out there and collected checks, or they've gone out there and, not for anything, but they've presented themselves in a manner that, look, why are you saying this? Why are you speaking like this? Don't you realize how well you have it and what you are able to take on? And take Jason Kelce, right? He embodied that whole thing, lived it, breathed it, shared it, gave back. And dude, kudos to him. Absolutely fantastic. But those guys, those girls are just few and far between. And when you go through spouts in your franchise where you don't have winning, you have to accept being criticized. But hopefully you have one or two guys on that team that are still, carrying that torch little by little, little by little, little by little. And sometimes it's a no-name dude or a no-name girl, but they carry you through. Because I'm sure if you go back to the Coat-Tight years, you could find a favorite player on the Coat-Tight teams. You go back to the Ray Rhodes years, you'll find a guy on the Ray Rhodes teams. I mean, they're there. They're there.
Now, I want to bring up this audio, kind of flipping the script here, kind of in the same realm that we're in right now, as far as like booing and accountability, just like you said, Duncan Dad. Hold on, wait, before I think about it. Spalding, did you get your thoughts together?
I did, yes. No, what I was going to say is, like, basically kind of what Gaslam guy said is just, the players are playing for, the fans. That's what the players are here for, right? Like, and I feel like, the players have to show that when they're on the field. And so far, I mean, I've seen that definitely from the players. I mean, obviously the Bucs fans are very loyal to our fans, or the Bucs players, are very loyal to the fans and are very accommodating to our fans as well. But I feel like the fans also sometimes don't show that. I mean, you look at the game last night and it felt like there were parts of the stadium that were kind of empty. So, but that's all I have.
All right. Now, the one thing I want to get to, and the reason why I bring this up is to bring up the next thought here, where is it becoming, honest to God, in sports, is it becoming an over-sensitization, meaning that are people really getting to be this sensitive that we have to go back and apologize? And I bring this up, and I bring that up to bring this up here, and you guys will be able to hear the audio as I'm going to bring it up on the screen. This is something that happened again over the weekend, and I'll let you know exactly what it was. So this is from Awful Announcing that Scott Hansen did not think Tom Brady was excited enough for Brandon Aubrey's 71-yard field goal attempt. So I want you guys, first is the comment. This is Tom Brady talking about the game, and then you'll hear his comment, and then you'll hear the reply afterwards. And then I can't believe, honest to God, we're becoming a nation of peas of the way things are going right now, because I can't believe someone had to apologize. This was not that harsh that I believe that needed an apology. Where is let me go back to the screen here because I want to make sure that Duncan Dad hears this as well. So let me flip over that screen. But I want you guys to hear this, and then I'm going to read something where God, some things are just driving me bananas.
Turner back there, that's something to worry about. 71?
This is crazy. Yeah.
Well, they got to cover. If it doesn't go in.
This is a 71-yard attempt. And now the Browns will call timeout.
Maybe everyone's going to rethink this one.
71 yards.
Third and final timeout.
Go to the Jets now. Oh, come on. Brady's got to get more excited than that in the booth. This is going to be a
Turner.
Now, before I get into the whole apology thing, I'll start off with Gaslam Guy. Is there anything wrong with what Tom just said there?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, Fuji.
No, I guess, Scott obviously was just a little more excited. Brady's in his debut with broadcasting. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he just thought it was nuts. 71-yard field goal attempt might have been a decision to be a little over the top. But
right, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I mean, it's his first game. You got to give the guy some time. Maybe he'll get into it. I mean, he seemed like he was pretty excited to broadcast it. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just think you got to give him some time. I think he'll get more acclimated within the job, and he'll get more excited on maybe plays like that. It's different going from playing the game and now you're broadcasting, so you got to get used to it.
Double D.
I have a whole synopsis of Tom Brady that I won't go into after this inaugural game announcing, but no, he's getting his feet wet, right? He's trying to figure this out. And Tom Brady's he's like Peyton Manning, right? Like, he's extremely cerebral. He's seeing things on the field that we're not seeing. He's thinking about things so far ahead that in his head he's running through every single scenario about why we're doing this, whatnot, instead of just being the color guy and, giving a little flair. But it should just spank Hansen for making the comment? No. Why? At this point, it's friendly media announcer guy to another media announcer guy. The same way you chide on the way that Kevin Harlan calls some things like, oh my God, Kevin was going nuts last night. I don't apologize for Kevin Harlan going nuts. That's what he does. But, oh, sorry, Kevin. Sorry, I called you nuts. Get out of here.
Right, which leads you to this, because I think it's absolutely insane. This is from 2 hours ago by Steve Samra. It just makes no sense. Scott Hansen apologizes to Tom Brady over criticizing enthusiasm in the Cowboys-Browns game there. He says the NFL Red Zone returned in all of his glory on Sunday afternoon, but Scott Hansen was left apologizing to Tom Brady following the latter's debut, Fox, due to a perceived dig. On Sunday, while Brady was beginning his broadcast on the call during the Cleveland Browns-Dallas Cowboys clash, Hansen gave 7-time Super Bowl champion grief for how boring he was being on the call. Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey was about to line up for a 71-yard field goal attempt, and Hansen believed Brady should have sounded more excited about the proposition. The NFL Red Zone host wasn't too pleased with Brady's enthusiasm during the play. He let fans know about it with a tongue-in-cheek comment, which you guys had just heard. Now, according to the apology, this was unfair and unconsiderate by me. Yes, I was saying it tongue-in-cheek, but I didn't calculate how it was going to come across to Tom Brady. I apologize. I promise I am rooting for you on this new venture. Seriously. Really?
More people will be upset if something happens to Scott Hansen than Tom Brady.
Correct. But it's so dumb, honestly, that we really have to go back and make a public apology. Like, come on, man. I'm pretty sure Scott wasn't like he was saying it tongue in cheek and everything else. But this is what happens, right? With social media, when then people want to make comments, and then now your company reaches out to you and says, oh, now you have to make a formal apology. For what? What did I say was so indifferent? Go ahead, Duncan Dad.
This, for me, and I'm going to get flack for this, but guess what? I'm a big boy. I'll take it, right? HR, way back when, had to be, I don't know, it really kicked off, I'd say, like mid-90s, right? When we're all like really getting into the swing of things, right? They came out with this policy that pick whatever harassment umbrella you want to go with, right? Doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to market a certain thing, whatever. Something's wrong, something's wrong. If you hear something where something is really off color or whatever, go ahead, bring it to people's attention, blah, blah, blah. But now in social media, we have this hyper sense of, oh my gosh, they didn't say something. They said something about this, something about that, something, so I'm going to say something. No, like that. It doesn't work like that. Like, if I hear something third party from someone else, and now it starts drumming up all this stuff. Oh, I'm going to be the guy who comes out and says it. Like, I have no idea how it's impacted this person. Mm-hmm. Brady might have been like, man, I guess I could be a little more excited about this, blah, blah, blah. But I think in Tom's defense, he was like 71 yards. And then he paused, like thinking like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what am I going to do? But like, if something's wrong and you see it, call it out. Like, you should get on board with that. Everybody should protect it, blah, blah, blah. But this onus of, I saw my neighbor walking their dog and I didn't like the way he was walking his dog, so I'm going to go down the street and call the SPCA and said, this guy's got to get a better leash on his dog because he's hurting his dog. Like, did you see the dog getting choked out? Did you see somebody kicking the dog? Does the dog look well fed? Like, it starts these inquiries and these processes and these, flawed apologies. So then when you actually do apologize for something and you're sincere about it, it doesn't carry weight. Right. It goes back to the Ben Simmons conversation. There's tons of people out there that get really screwed over with mental health. This guy's making a mockery of it, and you are. You are. And in these situations where it's the false apologies, and I got to do the company line or whatever, NFL Network's going like, this dude's getting paid $100 million by Fox. Let's not tick him off.
Right, but it's, again, like you said earlier, it's a learning curve. Okay, what did you want to do? We all knew that there was no way in the world he was going to try and kick that thing in actuality for 71 yards.
And he probably would have made it.
Right. It's just see if you can draw them off sides. So but to have to go back because you get the peer pressure, it's why there's certain things that it just doesn't make any sense. Like you have all these, why if a social media influencer is absolutely lying out of their teeth, you never hear anybody going back, oh, you should go back and apologize. What do they tell you? They tell you another lie on top of another lie because there are a lot of people, they love lies. They don't want to hear the freaking truth. Go ahead, Duncan.
Stuff like that used to happen when we still read newspapers. And what they would do is they'd run a story and then they run an edit like 2 days later. They buried on like page 6 or page 7. Oh, correction for this, blah, 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 blah. So legally they've covered themselves and they made their public apology, but no one hears about it.
Nope, they don't. Now, I'll share stories. We're getting ready to close out the show here, but being in Philly, Fuji, again, you, Duncan, Dad, us being from up north, and here's where I'm going to put my disclosure for folks who are listening in. If you don't like what's about to be said because you get butthurt easily, you can go ahead and tune out for the next minute and a half, and then you can come back when your tushy feels okay, and then you can tune back into the show. But, so when I work, and I'll keep the name of the company I'll keep the name of the company out because the owner no longer owns this particular company. But this is when I still lived in Philly. And when I say, folks, this is why on this network, we'll say what we want because you won't just shut everyone around here down or shut us up or anything else. But we were in a meeting and the owner wanted to know, hey, it seems like there's something going on around here. There's not enough communication. What's going on, blah, blah, blah. So then the project manager comes out and says what she feels is not and by the way, the owner was the project manager, the manager, and the owner, all females. Just putting it in the story. No, I do not disrespect anybody. So because you, again, have to disclose crap all the time. So anyways, the project manager says, well, I believe in what Angel was trying to communicate back and forth with a lot of people. It's just going on deaf ears. And so I don't understand exactly why there's a miscommunication with certain departments, but yeah, it's, I can understand his frustration. Now, to kind of back up and fast forward here into the conversation was because I worked at this particular place and I tried to do the best that I possibly could to work with certain people. Now, it goes back to saying that a lot of times you may not be you may not work well with other. And to go back, Duncan, Dad, to your reference, when it comes to HR, we just had a brand new HR person come into the company because the last one was like, you guys are your mind around here. So finally, the project manager goes back to the owner and she says, well, I'm going to hand it back to you. So the owner looks at me and she says, I'm sorry here that things are kind of going on deaf ears. What do you think I should do? Now, I could call, and I'll make sure that I'll get the phone call in at one point or another. My old partner, that was another trainer supervisor that was right next to me, and he was right there, and these words were uttered out of my mouth when she asked me, what do you think I should do? And I told her, I think you should go fuck yourself. And the project manager wanted to slide under the desk, but she was like, oh my God, did he just say that? You asked me for my honest opinion? I'm giving you my honest opinion. HR was right there. And she says, this is the owner now of the company, says, you're right, Angel, I should. And the reason why, because things had gotten to such a tension point that there was nothing else that you could possibly say to make this room any worse than what it already was. Now, the person in question, of course, was not in the room because they felt like they didn't need to be there. Did I have to go back and apologize? I sure as hell didn't. Why? Because we were all in the room. It finally, after I was getting ready to leave to come down here, that's when the old owners sold the company to the new owners. And when the new owners came in, they were like, what in the hell did we just walk in here to? Because no one wanted to communicate, and everybody thought, the one sometimes that stay in your lane nonsense that people say, I understand sometimes, like if I don't know someone's particular job, sure, am I going to stay in my lane? Yeah, because I don't know what their job duties are. But at the same time, too, when you're asking everyone for their thoughts on what they feel, what they should be doing in communication, that should be fine. All that goes back to here, where it shouldn't be where Scott should have to go back and apologize for something that was tongue-in-cheek. And now we're just so oversensitized. It really gets to be almost nauseating, because if we can't say this as a joke, and by the way, when we're out in public, how many times do you ear hustle as you're going in through the crowd and you hear somebody say something right? You laugh. It's funny. But then other people are like, I didn't think that was so funny. What? It's a joke. But if you still have to explain a joke to tell the joke, it's no longer a joke. Now it's just a valued opinion. So I think I'm just getting to the point where if we really have to start explaining every single thing that we're talking about to the point where we have to dumb it down to the ABCs and Sesame Street people of the world, there is just something wrong. Honestly, God, there is. As a broadcaster, as being part of media and everything else, we are going to say what we're going to say. Even, you look at Pat McAfee again, they pay a hefty amount to the FCC so he can go and say what he really wants to say. Now, of course, he's gone back. There's, one incident that did he take it over the top? Yes, go ahead, Duncan Dad.
No, directly on that point. ESPN came out and they led with College Game Day. It was last week, Michigan, this week, Michigan, Texas. And kid was just turned 18 years old. He was kicking for the field goal. And the kid threw a little shade at Pat. He was like, oh, who are you, blah, 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 what kind of players you like. And he's like, well, everybody in the football team is important, blah, 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 except for the kickers. They're not really athletes. And the punters. And McAfee was like, oh, okay, all right, well, let me see what you got, blah, blah, blah. So then the kid kicks, he misses, and he's like, so-and-so, you're an embarrassment. You're horrible, blah, blah, blah. You need to go back and do this. Well, McAfee's not coming out apologizing to the kid for calling him, horrible, for whatever he called him, like an embarrassment. Like, why? But in this instance, right, somebody be on the phone being like, yo, you can't call an 18-year-old kid at college an embarrassment, so go ahead and make that little statement, blah, 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 blah. But Big Brother, ESPN, good for them. Like, they led with it. So let's get out in front of it. Let's make a joke about it. Let's make sure everybody's got the joke. But to your point, like, if you've got to explain this every single time, then the authenticity, the genuineness of it, the impetus in the moment of like, yeah, like, that all goes away. No more Mel Brooks movies, no more little happy little funny little quippets, whatever, no more Monty Python things. And you're just going to get to a point where we'll be doing this.
Yep. That's it. That's the whole thing. And by the way, the flip side to that story was that the owner and I, we sat down, we talked, and it was still in front of the entire group. And we came up to a set of rules of new agreement where they followed. No. So she just felt like about 3 weeks later when she came up to me and let me know that I'm going to sell the company because I can't take anymore, because at this point it was so disorganized chaos that she was like, you know what? I've tried. I came back. I tried to make this work again. When I left the first time, I should have. And she's a very, very good businesswoman. To this day, I believe 4 out of her 5 businesses she still has. Her and her husband could have walked away. They were like, you know what? Screw this. Because they did just fine. Through the best parties, she rewarded you when you did a good job. And there was times where she would just pop up out of nowhere. So, come on, Angel, come on, staff, this and the other, we're going out to lunch. And she would take the front office out to lunch. Beautiful woman. I mean, and I mean by as far as her personality. Again, shit that I have to explain all over again. But she was just a beautiful person when she knew, and she helped out a lot of people in the community. So when you spoke to her, she wanted to know exactly how you felt. She never took it to heart. She never thought that you were being disrespectful towards her or anything else like that. But that's just the way that things rolled in Philly. Now, today might be a whole different story, but that's just the way it was. Fuji works downtown, and he knows that, like everything else, he's got a set of rules he's got to follow by. Dylan's got a set of rules he's got to follow by. Gas Pump Guy, the same way. But at the same time, for every little thing that we say, it shouldn't have to be followed by an apology. It's getting to be just a little bit ridiculous. honestly. So I just want to kind of end with that because I just thought it was, I feel bad actually for Scott that he had to go back and to apologize for something he said in tongue in cheek. All of us knew what he was saying, who are sports fans, but my God, it gets to be a little bit too wacky in my opinion. But that being said, I like to thank, speaking of said stuff, Dylan, I don't know if you want to share the news that you shared with me. Dylan woke me up, by the way, at 2:30 in the morning on Saturday morning, Duncan Dad, to tell me the story. Oh my God. No, I said it, and of course, I like to goof around with Dylan a lot. But Dylan, I don't know if you want to share the story you told me.
Well, I would, but it is not officially announced yet. So I cannot announce it until the end of the month.
Okay.
Once it actually gets settled through, and we're all good to go. But I got some really exciting news about a potential new opportunity coming about towards me, and I'm very excited. Obviously, Angel, I know you're excited about it as well because we may be able to get to do some stuff together with it. So we're obviously gonna wait and see how this month goes and keep everything going. And I'll let everybody know once we get to that point. But yeah, some exciting news, obviously, and we'll definitely be sharing it hopefully soon on the show.
All right.
Wow, what a teaser.
Give Dylan a big roaring round of applause for his first NDA, baby. Woo!
The funny thing was when Dylan, he called me, he says, sorry, man, for, kind of getting on the phone with you earlier, but I know you're busy and stuff. So he says, I got some exciting news. And Dylan, what did I say to you?
I actually forgot what you said. What did you say?
I set it up. I throw the line out there, right? I'm hoping to just hook it in, but okay. So Dylan calls me up. He goes, hey, I got some exciting news to share with you. I'm sorry, man. It's early. I understand it. I said, that's okay because, Debbie's still sleeping, so I'm trying to keep my voice down. He goes, so I just want to share this really exciting news with you. And I said, you're pregnant? And he was like, no, I'm not.
Oh, yeah. And then I said, congratulations. Yes, you are the father of the baby.
You are the father.
Did you go on Jerry to find that out?
I don't know about
that.
But this
is how you share the news. Inquirer minds want to know.
I can't, man. I can't. It's
I'm just fooling with you.
You're gonna. It's exciting. We're very. I'm very excited for it, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity of it. Angel knows what it is because I told him on Saturday. But yeah, he knows how exciting this is going to be, and I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity. So it's. I'll say that it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good opportunity for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be really nice for both networks. It's gonna be really, really cool. So I can't wait to be able to drop the news for it. But it's gonna be really, really nice. As I mentioned, there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes here at Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. So I appreciate there's still more things that could possibly maybe sprinkle a little bit, other things that are coming down. So I appreciate everyone who not only downloads the audio from the show, which you guys can go to sr1029thegame.com. After the shows, the on-demand portion of it, the tab that's there, you guys can hear these shows after the shows are done, obviously after I upload it and put it back up there. So you'll be able to hear Pete Shepard in the morning from 7 to 10 a.m., followed by myself here, Martinez Company, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And who knows, I might end up picking back up 5 days a week. I have to talk to Duncan Dad's agent. You guys have no idea. I have to, over the weekend, as I'm calling the soccer game, I'm sorry. Yeah, Duncan Dad's agent. Yes, it's me again. Yes, I know it's the 15th call today. This guy's just high in demand, so I have to make sure I make it according. I say this in jest once again, but I know. So hopefully it'll get back to 5 days a week. But right now it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 where I might be running into some bonus time like we did on Friday. And of course, the Drive with Q, that's also Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. And possibly maybe something coming up during the 6 to 8 p.m. hours. But tonight will be Lloyd Vance with Lloyd Vance's Insider Football from 8 to about 9:15-ish. So he will have a great guest tonight. So listen to that. That'll be live. That'll be the next live programming other than my hermano from 3 to 5 p.m. So thanks to Dylan, thanks to Gaspam Guy, and thanks to Fuji for coming on. Of course, they'll all be back on for Football Friday. Duncan Dad, I appreciate you taking the time as well. I need to get your missus on to get her take as well when it comes to the Rays and the Bucks. So when she has some time, I want her to come on as well because very, very knowledgeable she is with the teams down in Tampa Bay.
She's in a state of mourning with the Rays right now.
Oh boy, I bet.
She's loving the junior thing, but that was too little, too late, and we're trying to go down to the games because they're playing their September 11th series here in Philly, and she's just like, I don't even know who's on the team anymore. Everyone's gone away.
No one knows who's on the team anymore.
It's okay. It's not as bad being a Blue Jays fan. It's been a rough season for my Jays.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
Could
be the White Sox.
Go ahead.
The problem with the Rays is they get all the good players and then they just start selling them off and they don't get any farther than the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you know what? In all defense here, as I talked about bonus minutes, in all defense for the Rays, I mean, you got to, and Dylan, I think, and I talked about this as well, and Duncan, I think we brought it up too, is that you're going to sell the farm because you got to think about the brand new stadium that's going to be built, and everybody under the sun is going to want to be a part of it. So you got to think about whatever roster you have right now, you're going to have to make it really attractive to bring it to St. Pete. So, I mean, it's going to go through a rebuild. Who knows what's going to happen with Kevin Cash? I think he might be let go. Everybody else believes that he won't go anywhere. So we'll see. And maybe not, but this was definitely not the season for the Rays. And especially you think about what happened last season compared to this year. You know, it's a tale of two tales, but I'm quite sure we'll get into it the next time we bring up our next set of topics here. But thank you all for tuning in. Once again, visit sr1029thegame.com. Don't forget you can download the app directly from the website, just like Duncan Dad. I believe Fuji is also downloaded. Dylan, I don't expect him to download anything because unless it's edible, he doesn't download a thing. And for Gasroom Guy,
What are you talking about?
but for Gasroom Guy and Fuji out in Philly, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for watching the show. Don't forget the Drive with Q will be on later on from 3 to 5 p.m. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe, make good choices, and just have fun. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
The birds.
That's right. Listen, thank you guys. I do appreciate you guys jumping on. As always, Friday we'll do